It looks. She was good.
Did it work? Is that like?
Is there other ways to go about it? Probably, but
definitely.
Can you blame? Well, you can blame him.
Yes,
you can definitely blame him.
Absolutely blame him.
And I don't agree with his methods, but what he got out of it. Welcome to the Some Damn Movies podcast. Just a heads up, we don't shy away from spoilers. Here's your warning for the following movies: 2001: A Space Odyssey, August 32nd on Earth, and some other Denis movies, and some other Kubrick films and whatever. Sorry, I forget what we talked about this episode. Hello. Welcome to episode 9 of the Some Damn Movies podcast. We did a little something special this time. Episode 8 we released a little bit early, so if you're listening to this is about 2 weeks after the fact. We got to watch Nosferatu. We both got to watch it in theaters, so we were too excited to watch and talk about it. So we just said, hey, why not? Let's play the algorithm and release it early. So this time around, we're actually going to talk a little bit about a movie I've never seen, which is a big shock given the genre, but it's a movie that I'm pretty sure you've seen, I would assume, a couple times in your life, is 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then we're going to move into something that we are starting this year, which is each month we're going to go through different directors and sort of look at their deep cuts, their lowest rated and their highest rated films. And obviously I'm really interested in a lot of their debuts and maybe really some of those like deep, like short films and stuff like that. So this first month we picked Denis Villeneuve, or however you want to say it. He's a French-Canadian director. And then after that, we'll just talk about some other little tidbits of movies that we've watched throughout the week. And that's pretty much all we have today. So, Ian, let's talk a little bit about 2001: A Space Odyssey. You have a little bit more experience with this than I do.
Yeah, we'll start out. So, yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Ian. If you're here, I love that. I don't know how you stumbled upon us, but we love having you around here. This is Some Damn Movies. This is just, like Jared said, we're just two friends wanting to talk about movies. That's right. And so if you want to be one of those friends just listening to us talk about movies, talking about them in the comment section of whatever application you're using to enjoy our content, you do you. Also, please rate this podcast. 5 out of 5 is what we prefer. Anything less, I just need you to tell us why. That's why. I just need you to tell us exactly why it is less, so we can make it better for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is my second time having watched it. It's been, and I hate that I'm getting to this age, but it's been almost probably like we're at the 15-year mark. We're at the
wow.
So that's the thing is like I'm at the age where we're both at the age where it's like we can be like, oh yeah, that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Which that kind of stings. It's like, oh yeah, it's been 15 years. But I digress. So I have some notes on this one.
It feels like a movie that I would assume that you rewatch consistently throughout the years. I'm surprised you haven't seen this in over a decade.
I'm not a big... So I think we'll kind of save this for after we talk about Denis. But like Stanley Kubrick's not been like a director that I've like sought out. And I think it's because of like a bunch of hipsters that wouldn't shut up about the Clockwork Orange. I'll be real. Like no one would shut up about it. I think everyone listening to this knows what I'm talking about. I actually refused to watch, I never watched A Clockwork Orange because no one would shut up about it. The people I was around wouldn't shut up about A Clockwork Orange. And I'm sure A Clockwork Orange is great. I'm not trying to talk crap on the movie itself, but man, so many people that I was just around, like back 15 years ago, just were like, this defines my personality. Like, this defines my taste in like multimedia. And I'm like, I need you to shut up about it because I just don't want to hear about it. So I think that kind of dissuaded me from like going into Kubrick. Obviously, I've watched The Shining. I've watched this. I can't think of much else now, or I'll probably jog my memory.
One of my favorites is Eyes Wide Shut. I watched that one in college. in like a documentary film class, but I think actually no, I think it was a different film class. But yeah, we ended up watching Eyes Wide Shut, and I think the first time I watched it, I fell in love with it. And part of me is like, oh, this is his post-death movie. Like, I felt a little hipster liking Eyes Wide Shut over his other movies like 2001, which at that time, again, I still had never watched 2001. It was one of those movies I always wanted to watch because it's like right up my fucking alley. I love space movies. Anything that involves space, I love. And this one, I just never... I would start it, and then I don't know. It's like almost like we'll talk a little bit about video games in the future in another podcast, but like I have ranked anxiety sometimes. So I had like 2001 Space Odyssey anxiety about like, what if I don't like this? Am I not a true film guy? And so like I just never ended up watching it, but I'm glad I mean,
on that note, I think with age comes a little bit more clarity.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think what's made me more comfortable with making even this like podcast is just because I don't really care it's not that I don't care what people think. I feel like I'm more independent in my train of thought or an opinion. When you're younger, there is like this like part of like, oh, I hope I like this so people don't think I'm stupid. Now I'm like, I hope I like this because I want to like something, and if I don't, I'm probably going to talk shit, aka spicy book club. In some regard, like, I don't know, it's just fun to experience things. You just have to be tasteful about like your critiques, right? So before we even get into we're in now on 2001 Space Odyssey. I have one note I wrote down.
Just one?
Well, no, I have multiple. Okay, there's one I want to start off with. It's directly in it for you.
Okay.
And I wrote down, I wrote it down on both of mine actually, but I was like, oh no, sorry, I'm mixing my notes up. On this one, there's an old YouTube channel we used to watch. You actually got me into it. Rip to this channel, but I wrote down every frame of fucking painting for this movie because there is not a
singular frame. I think,
there's not a singular frame, and I'm including the intermission because fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
But and now in all seriousness though, outside of that, every frame in this movie could be put up on a wall. Yeah. Every one of them. And that just kind of dawned on me. I was trying to find frames that would not work on a wall.
My first note while I was watching, I was like, this is literally aesthetics of the movie. Like everything is so aesthetically pleasing. Like from the colors to like the weird like architecture and like the furniture choices too. Like I remember early on in the one scene with the doctor, and they're all sitting around in like a lobby with those like weird like red chairs. I was like, this just kind of makes sense in this universe for me because like they look alien, they look different. It was it just like those little choices I think definitely separates like a real filmmaker from somebody that just makes movies. Like this like this is like fashion design, like it's
fully realized, right? Like it's a fully realized vision because like it's funny because we refer to this aesthetic as retrofuturism now because like retrofuturism is like this whole like back in the 60s, what did they think? What did people think the future would look like? And it's kind of crazy because in earnest, like 2001 A Space Odyssey, I could be wrong in this, right? Maybe I'm pulling something out of my rear end, but I think that like a lot of people thought like once we crested the year 2000, there was going to be a huge leap in technology. There would be a lead up to it, of course, but like year 2000 was going to be where like cars were flying, where teleportation would maybe be a thing. Sorry to tell you, Mr. Kubrick, posthumously, but we let you down. But the ideas and the creativity, like the vision, was back all those years ago, and it's always cool to see how that is. Not, I guess, portrayed, but how it's described. Or
I love retrofuturism personally. I love this weird combination of like technology. Like obviously now, because this movie was in what, 60,
they didn't even think of
68?
digital.
And I think some of the literature that he based off of this movie was like from the 50s. So like all this stuff is very, very old. So like they still have the mindset of like analog technology, but it's like the amalgamation of like the combination of future technology. But like obviously now we have touch screen phones and everything is going to be different. Like our retrofuturism starting today is going to look obviously much different. Like we're not going to have this like weird combination of analog buttons and stuff like that. All our stuff's going to be like touchscreen and yada yada yada.
Well, it's not necessarily like our retro future. I guess like 40 years from now, like what that it would be considered that, but like it's really like just our vision of the future.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're talking about like Kubrick and his contemporaries are just the people of 1968. Like this is what they thought the future would be, and like I don't even think they ever thought of digital technology or digital information, because I mean you have like the silicone, like the first like transistor or semiconductor, sorry, not transistor, semiconductor, because that was not fucking Roger Moore, but like Moore's law, right, is based on the man, the myth, the legend. I can't think of his name at the moment, but like he figures out or comes up with the idea of the semiconductor, right? It's a binary device. It's like it's either on or off, and like how we come up with those switches, which is obvious, which is what goes into the digital future, right? That's why we switched over from analog to digital. So I don't even think they could have thought of it. But to the movie more precisely, yes, like the set design was amazing. It feels real. I also just it breaks my brain to think about like the effects in this movie. Mm-hmm. The way that he captures some of these shots to make them look so real, because you think like, oh, like it's space, yada, and then you're like, oh, this is 1968. How did they even fucking do this? There's some where it's a little, or there's some shots that are explainable, right, where like they're running. It's whenever they finally get to the two astronauts going into to Venus, right? Like so they're the ones with Hal. And they're running around, which would be like, because it's again like centrifugal for like artificial gravity via centrifugal force, right? So they're running on the sides of this cylindrical ship to like get a cardio in. But I'm like, how so like you shoot it, you literally turn the camera to the side so they can just run around. But it's like breaking my brain how it's like how it looks so real. Mm-hmm. And then like just them floating around and doing all this, like it's bonkers to me how they were able to achieve some of these shots in 1968. And
even today, they hold up. They look good.
Oh yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's like this is like a feat when it comes to like practical effects. Like the lengths that he had, like that team had to go to make this look so real. And I couldn't compliment it or give it enough applause for like set design and costume design.
Yeah,
everything about it is just like it's just so laden.
Would you watch it on? Did you watch this? I am assuming it's.
I watched it on Max.
Max, okay,
yeah, it's on Max.
I was gonna say like I don't know, it's because I have like a 4K. Because I ended up watching because I have a Blu-ray for it at 4K, and I thought like even like the down to like the color grading looked modern and like it looked good. And
yeah, I mean it looks very, I mean it
felt like insane. A movie that like could have been made today but just had like a LUT pack on it, it looked so just amazing. And I'm surprised it looks as good as it does. It's weird that these like there's just like these couple of films throughout history that like you can tell whoever created this just knew what the hell they were doing, because it's just so far and above like quality wise where it can hold up 60 years later almost and below a lot of current movies that have easier technologies out of the fucking water. I even thought like spoiler alert, towards the end of the movie when they did like some aging and stuff, I even thought like the makeup on the aging looked pretty fucking good for the time.
That was,
if anything, I think it looks better than a lot of the de-aging or a lot of the aging up that we see today, which I think is honestly one of the worst effects that I see out of Hollywood today, is all the de-aging and the aging effects. A lot of it just looks awful. And I don't think they're there yet. But for some reason, this movie, I thought, like, I was talking to Tony about it because she would come in and out. I was like, isn't it, like, this is insane that it still looks this good, given that it's nearly 60 years old, and it looks better than today.
Yeah. I mean, so, yeah, a lot of the digital de-aging, I mean, I think AI is helping it a lot, because I remember seeing them, I saw, like, side-by-sides for the de-aging of Robert De Niro in the Irishman, which is arguably one of the worst like implementations of de-aging in a movie. It's like, it's very uncanny valley. And then someone went back and used AI to like tune it up, and it looked way better.
Yeah.
But I say that to say, even with modern technology and innovation, right? Like, they nailed it in 68.
More notes, yeah.
What else do I have? So, Monkeys took 20 minutes. That was just like how long it took the intro. Oh, during that.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the intro.
The leopard.
How'd you feel
so,
about
like, I mean, what an iconic intro. Like, just like I'm talking about the intro coming in, like that score, right?
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
the score is awesome, yeah.
Like, it's just like, you don't really get, like, it's just permeated throughout, like, film history.
And who
like,
knew Stanley Kubrick was such a Barbie fan?
Yeah, exactly. I thought something about the intro that kind of got me was the leopard. Okay, so like they have that leopard that's attacking it's a fucking whole ass leopard that's attacking someone in a monkey suit.
Yeah.
Like, the monkey, we're kind of glazing on the costume design, right? Another thing is, like, they have these monkey suits that they put them in, right? And the faces are articulating as they're talking or making sounds.
You can see human eyes.
Obviously, yeah, they have human eyes. Like, now, obviously, this is one of those parts where you're like, okay, this is people in monkey suits, but these monkey suits are pretty solid.
I thought it was pretty believable.
Yeah, it was pretty damn believable. But again, the leopard attacking them was like, what the fuck? That's like you can't just like green screen in a leopard that's attacking them. So I'm assuming Stanley Kubrick, who is famously was known for being a pretty brutal director and subjecting people to like some not so fun conditions. I think he was probably like, hey, we're gonna have a leopard attack.
A real one,
yeah. We're gonna have a real leopard attack you a couple times. Like, just like get used to that. So how do you prepare someone that's like, a what? It's like, oh, it's trained. Like, we have the trainer here, but like, he's attacking you. Just you're gonna have to get over it. Because that was like, again, with the Clockwork Orange, when everyone's glazing up Clockwork Orange, they're like, they had what's his face, who's from Heroes, the main guy, the bad guy, or not the bad guy, the main character of A Clockwork Orange. He was also in Heroes, show, but he was much older, right? But you know, when they hold his eyes open with the contraption and subject him to all the violence, the violent films and stuff, scenes of violence or whatnot, the conditioning, they were like, yeah, they had him in there for like, you know, fucking 20, 70, 200, 127 hours of fucking eyes just open and watching it. He did that for real, and that's what everyone talks about.
Are you a method acting hater?
It's not method acting. That's not method acting. Like, the reason why that was a big deal. So one, yeah, I guess I'll hate on method acting, because I think if you just can't fucking act and you have to be a dickhead or try to get into like using a method to do it, it just sounds like you're a bad actor. Two, the whole reason that happened was because Stanley Kubrick was like, hey, like, this is the effect I want out of it. You're gonna have to get over it, kid. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I want you to actually be suffering. because I need the truest reaction from your, like, you know, your truest physical and emotional reaction from this. Another famous one was what's her name from The Shining?
Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, Shelley Duvall, like,
rest in peace.
Like she went on like a whole. Well, I remember reading about how, like, her doing like and doing The Shining was like a pretty traumatic experience for her. Like, and it was because like Stanley Kubrick was like such a dickhead to her, like was like tormenting her and was like trying to get her to like break emotionally.
It worked
and stuff.
It looks, she was good.
Did it work? Is that like?
Is there other ways to go about it? Probably, but
definitely.
Can you blame? Well, you can blame him.
Yes,
you can definitely blame him.
Absolutely blame him.
And I don't agree with his methods, but what he got out of it.
That's the thing, though, is like I love the result, but like I hate the methods.
Yes.
So no.
Yeah, more notes.
So the thing with me that I took away was like this movie. Like 2001: Space Odyssey was definitely like just, it is like this huge art piece. Like it's every part of it is just has so much care put into it. How they got that care or how they got that result, I don't know. But then it goes into the ending, and I'm not gonna lie, this is where I like, after the second half of this, like when we get rid of Hal and we, you know, send him off, or, you know, whenever you make it to Venus, this is where it kind of doesn't lose me. I was on dad duty trying to finish this up, so like I'm trying to like watch it, but then like my daughter's like, hey, like pay attention to me. So it was kind of like a little rough to pick
Definitely
it up.
Definitely a hard movie for dads.
It would be a hard movie like to multitask with, especially to get the full effect out of it. Like, also the cost of me watching these movies is actual sleep, because when you're a dad, when the baby goes down at 8:00 at night, you have from 8:00 at night to like 5 a.m. the next morning to sleep and not have to deal with baby. She's still waking up probably once or twice in between there for you to feed her, but like that's your window to sleep. And if you don't sleep in that window, then like it sucks to suck. And I chose not to sleep in that window twice, because I was like, well, I'm gonna watch August 32nd on Earth, which is the next movie we're gonna talk about, and then 2001: Space Odyssey, but I couldn't finish it out because I was just getting too tired.
It's a long one.
That being said, the ending, I don't know what I was supposed to glean off of it, and I didn't really like. I was like, you could probably deconstruct everything happening with him beyond the infinite. It's definitely extremely influential. I feel like I think this whole movie is in general, but I feel like I would have to watch it again, or at least that ending where he does become old and he's like, oh, I'm seeing myself. I think all he's trying to really get at is that I forget the character's name, but he is just ever present. Like, he's omnipresent, which is what most people, I think, what most stories go for once you're like beyond the infinite, right? Or into the infinite, which I just wanted to say because it's one of my favorite Magic cards. But so I think that what he was trying to get at is that it's kind of like, like the Dr. Manhattan, I am everywhere. Like I am infinite. Like he is now, because you have him go like he was young, now he's old, now he's a baby, now he's just like he's outside of the world. This whole room that he exists in right now is just outside of time. Kind of, he is a fourth dimensional being. So that's what I got from that. It looks really good, but I think everything before that, I don't know. It was a great movie. Yeah. I feel like I didn't get enough from the ending because I wasn't able to pay attention and deconstruct it enough. Because it feels like it wants me to deconstruct it, right? Like it's literally like a half hour. Isn't that complicated
though? I guess like at the same, like I guess like there's probably a million different meanings towards the ending and the movie overall. Like really, the movie is about. I mean, you kind of see like human existence from the beginning, and then sort of the
And then you see
what's the word?
us create a new life form, right? Like Hal, like because Hal was doing what he was doing to kill them because, so that was another thing. Like he had another, I'm wondering if he had like another motive, right? Like, cause whenever the astronaut, is it Baker or something like that? He's powering down Hal. All of a sudden there's security footage that plays that's telling him, or like a video that plays that, hey, like we're telling you that we found like life beyond that's coming from Venus, and that's where you guys are going. So it seemed like it was like a big, like it seemed like the astronauts didn't actually know what they were going out to do, and it seemed like Hal knew, and Hal was making sure it was happening. In that whole scene where he's trying to turn Hal off after Hal has killed the rest of the crew.
I mean, and Hal's doing what he's basically functioned to do, though. Like,
because
his purpose is to get this mission completed. Like, he has no other
because the thing is, though, is like
purpose.
They talk to ground control, right? And they're like, hey, like, do you think that this module is degraded? And they're like, we have taken this and ran it through our HAL 9000, and our HAL is saying that it's not, like that's fine. So why is HAL saying that? So there's the whole point of HAL. Now there's something up. Is HAL wrong, or is HAL doing something on his own? Right? Is he going rogue? Rather. And that's when like that movie plays, and I believe there's another mission that the astronauts didn't know about that Hal did, and Hal was saying, hey, we're going through there. And you do, into what you were saying, right, is like you go from like the Stone Age, you go from before we were even Homo sapien, right? We were like, it was like monkeys, and then they figure out how to use bones as tools, all the way to spacefaring.
Well, really, the big thing is also those monoliths, though, right? They're the ones that are sort of bringing the knowledge of the technology and everything.
Well, they're not even bringing the knowledge. They're just a living being, right? Because they're studying them. They have no clue. The only thing they know is that the one that was on the moon, there's a magnetic field that is pointed towards Venus. And that's why they sent them to the Venusian system, or not, I guess Venusian system.
Yeah, obviously, but they're there to sort of like push the humans into a direction, right? Like in some way.
Like, we need to
that's the
figure
representation of it.
It's really just like, hey, we're curious about what's happening. Like, we're sending you to Venus. Like, you're gonna go find and see what's going on, because like, where's this other monolith at? I also need to just say, man, on the soundtrack, like, the eerie ass music, that vocal, discordant vocal style. So another iconic track. It's been used a couple times. The only time I can think of right now was Godzilla 2014. They used it a couple times, but my God, how perfect that music or that track is for that scene. Every time they went into some eerie ass like place and it played, like it just sets the mood so perfectly.
I don't know. I just kind of took the movie and the ending as like really like we're not in control, right? Like there's always something out there that's controlling. Like we're small, we're nothing. Like something like we all have those type of thoughts anyways, and that like that's kind of what I got.
It's an Odyssey, right? So like if it's a space Odyssey, so like an Odyssey of any type, right? It's just like this adventure, or like it's usually like I mean, I could look up the definition for Odyssey, but an Odyssey would be like this monumental or defining adventure of like usually a character. In this case, I think it was just humanity, and it's taking us from like the beginning of where we started to where we're going. I honestly don't think it has to be that deep. No. I think that's really great thing about art. This is how you can tell, like, right? Because art is supposed to evoke emotion. It's supposed to evoke like productive thought, and opinions and debate even on a subject. And 2001: A Space Odyssey absolutely does that. Is it art? Put a big old check mark in it. Yeah.
It's literally art because the movie. Like everything in this
really
movie
is
art.
everything
music,
can be scrutinized.
Design, the set design, the color palette, everything is art in this movie. Yeah. Which again, I would say like my overall comments of the movie, like I ended up giving it a 4.5, because like I can see why it's a little boring, and it's not like super bombastic and stuff like that as like other space type movies are, and that's fine. I
love a slow burn,
and like and the slow burn definitely had like this was also slow burn the movie because every little thing that happens in this movie is like a snail's pace, and I love a lot of those scenes. Like every action took like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah,
and the emptiness of the sound when they're like in certain sections and stuff like that in the movie. Awesome. Everything from the design of this movie, amazing, groundbreaking. It still looks delicious to look at today. That being said,
that's a good way of putting it.
I feel like I'm gonna have to watch this a couple more times to really for it to be like in my top echelon of favorite movies. It's definitely, I get it. Like I definitely get it. And I maybe it's like I built myself up like I was gonna love this movie. It was gonna become one of my like top 5 of all time. That being said, I think it can get there. I feel like I want to see this in IMAX to really get a good experience out of it, because I did just watch this at home.
Insane.
With I have burn marks in my fucking TV screen, and it looks like shit. So
I think that seeing this on IMAX would be a must watch for me. Like if they did like some Fathom event and they were like, hey, we're playing 2001: Space Odyssey in IMAX, I would go to great lengths to watch it in
100%. Yeah. It's like part of it.
I give it a 5.
Yeah. Like the plot, I felt like wasn't too much for like I couldn't really get.
I think the plot is just an odyssey, right?
Yeah,
like, there's not like some like narrative to it other than just watching humanity go through.
Yeah.
And become a more starfaring race. Like that, I don't think it's that deep. I really is art the movie.
Yeah.
But I give it a 5 out of 5. And I will say, like, I liked it. It's a weird. I feel like I have to explain some of my rankings. I gave it a 5 out of 5 because I just don't see how, like, just in just when it comes to cinematography and it comes to color grading, when it comes to set design, when it comes to pretty much all of the components that make a movie, I see why it's a classic.
5 out of 5.
I think objectively it's a 5 out of 5. I don't think that this is for everybody.
No,
I don't think, but I just think it's very, very hard to argue that this movie isn't like a manicured and
masterpiece,
and just like it is a, like I would say like this. I would assume this is a masterclass in cinematography.
Everything.
I mean, yeah, like every part of this is like, if you, I'm not saying every movie needs to be 2001: Space Odyssey, but if you're wanting to teach like how to use the camera, you could almost say this about, you probably say this about every Kubrick movie, maybe. At least the ones I have seen, he definitely kind of crushes that. I mean, The Shining has some of the best and most beautiful shots. Like his way of just like using space, right? Like he'll just use like and depth. I think depth is like something that Kubrick does that like not many people like, or like it doesn't get used enough, where he'll just like have this huge shot, like this dead on shot down a hallway, right? Like that's a big one. Like he loves long shots, or he at least utilizes them a lot. Yeah, and I feel like it's something that like you can't even teach it. So it's the reason why like you can teach it once it happened, but no one was really doing that prior to Kubrick, because I think Stanley Kubrick just had that vision and executed it, and it was like, it very much was just like his style. And then once it happened, we as a race, as a you know, humanity was like, we need to like, this is beautiful, like we want to honor this, we want to keep this going, and then people watching it, like, you know, it's yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this is, I guess I am saying it is a perfect movie. I'm just not saying a perfect movie doesn't mean it's going to be the perfect movie viewing experience, I guess. Yeah. Like if you're like, this is one you lock in and you watch, like you have to like be there for it. You have to be present for it.
Yeah,
I guess.
That was always my big issue with this. Like, even while I was watching, it was like, I do like everything that's going on the screen, but I don't think I love this movie, because it is like a little. And I like
It's
slow.
dense.
I love slow burns, but like, again, it's like I'm not connecting with the characters, which is fine, whatever. But
Yeah,
it's
which
like,
I don't think you're supposed to
yeah, it's
necessarily.
it's gonna take a little bit off the score for me, even though again my score doesn't matter. But like, we're not going super in depth with this movie because it's like obviously like it's been talked about ad nauseum. It's nearly a 60-year-old movie. It's
another one of my
very
favorite magic cards.
a very film schooly film. Probably everyone talks about it. All the directors go back to it and stuff like that, and I can see why. Like, this is definitely like motivation. It's definitely inspiration. But as a movie experience, amazing. But at the same time, as a movie that I love, no. There's just more movies that
I connect with. It depends on what you want out of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It really just depends on what you're wanting out of the movie. And I think if you're wanting to feel inspired and you're wanting to appreciate film and cinematography, and you're going on a journey similar to what we're kind of doing, if you're wanting to go on I guess you could say a film odyssey, a 2025, a film odyssey like we are, this would be your starting point. This would be a great starting point because you just want to appreciate it, right? Like, you would follow this up with something like something by Akira Kurosawa. Like, we're trying to appreciate film and like expand our own horizons, right? And that's why, like, yeah, I would recommend this. But if you're just wanting to turn your brain off, or if you're just wanting to enjoy,
you can't do that with this one.
Like,
no.
just a fun, it's too dense. Like, there's too much information. I actually compared this to a ghost story, a little bit, because a ghost story has some great cinematography. We've talked about it on here before, and all this cinematography, all of these sets, these shots, everything about it is, I would say up there with 2001: A Space Odyssey, except the fact that it is so much smaller. Everything is on a micro scale compared to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Also, there's not as much detail that's being tried. I feel like there's not as much information. There's plenty of detail, but like, there's so much information in every shot that I feel like, and maybe it's a Kubrick effect. Maybe it's like I'm trying to overanalyze it, but I feel like sometimes I almost want to play this at like 75% speed.
Yeah.
To like, just like, I'm actively wanting to make it slower so I can just like digest everything. And that could be the Kubrick effect of just like feeling like there's more. Honestly, I wonder if Stanley Kubrick was like, yo, I just think it looks hot. I'm not trying to like say shit.
100%.
I'm just like
100%.
I feel like people overanalyze his thing. I think he just likes making cool stuff. I think that's why he was like, yo, this looks sick. Like, let's do this. I'm not trying to make I like to the point of the ending, right? Where it's like him in that, that little, has an old man,
becomes a star child.
Becomes like a star child of sorts. Like, I just wonder if he, like, his like explanation of that was just, he's outside of time. Like, that's where it starts. It looks weird. He's like, he's like, he went somewhere. He transcended like humanity, right? Like, he's not human anymore because of whatever happened. But like, I'm not wanting you to analyze why the glass broke on the ground. That's just like, it was a sick shot, bro. Like, I just thought that was cool.
We just needed action.
I just wanted to do something that was like, him just trying to figure out his new position in life and just the world, the universe. So I think I'm good on 2001: Space Odyssey. I recommend it to anyone. Again, I think we've already kind of given that. Don't go into it thinking that this is necessarily a casual view. I feel like, I guess it can be, by all means. I just hope the inspiration, or I think the best inspiration to watch this is to broaden your horizons or experience some of the best cinematography that you can experience. Like, I think it's top 10. I think it's honestly top 10 for like cinematography, set design, costume
I almost
design,
want to go even higher and
like,
say at least
soundtrack.
top 5.
Yeah, probably. Like, I was kind of just trying to be conservative with my opinion, but so I think that's the energy you have to bring into it. If you're just wanting to do Friday night movies with the family, unless the entire family
Try
is over
Interstellar
the age
out.
of 30.
It's on Netflix now.
And yeah, like you could probably play something like Interstellar, and like your kids that are probably between the ages of like 12 and 16 would probably be like, oh, this is fun. They're not going to probably like it's 2001: Space Odyssey unless they're also into that and they're actively pursuing like some interest in film. Like you're probably not going to send it. You're probably not going to send them on it. So yeah, that's what I think that's how we feel on 2001: Space Odyssey. So before we get into the next part, there's of course one thing we have to do. This episode of Some Damn Movies is brought to you by Some Damn Channel.
Ourselves.
What is Some Damn Channel? What is Some Damn Channel? Some Damn Channel is yours truly, Ian and Jared, two handsome young men who are out here on that grind. We're trying to bring you now close to fucking 4 episodes of like 4 podcast episodes a month on top of other video projects. My 2 notably are Late to the Game and Spicy Book Club. Those are Spicy Book Club is monthly. I'm good about getting that one out there. Late to the Game is one that is more of my pet piece that I take a little bit more time on. It's just because of the work that's involved. But we're out here bringing top quality content to you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look below the video. We're going to see, do you see the subscribe button? Click that. Just smash that subscribe button, as the kids would say. Do you see the hand next to it? The little hand that looks like this, the little thumbs up? You're going to click that as well. Not the one next to it. The one that's pointing up. We want to point up. After that, what did you think about 2001: A Space Odyssey? There's a little box below that. You can comment down there. You can let us know what you want. Now, if you're not on YouTube doing this,
Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we love that we love that we're transcending YouTube. We're going outside there. So we love that you're here listening to us. I need you to put the 5-star review. I need you to put a comment with it as well. Okay? We need you to do that. Oh, you don't think it's a 5-star? You don't think this is a 5-star podcast? That's fine. I need you to put your honest review. I need you to put an honest comment. We cannot get better if you don't let us know that. Don't be just trying to vote bomb this shit, right? Don't just rate bomb it. That's mean. That doesn't get us anywhere. That doesn't improve the product for you.
Nope.
Okay? So you're going to like hold it back and you're going to do that. All right. I think our ad break's good now. Here we go. Boom. All right. So
We're back.
Next one is August 32nd on Earth. This
boy.
one is directed by Denis Villeneuve. It came out in 1998.
Yep.
It is 88 minutes long. It is French. If you want to experience this, you can probably sail the digital seas and find it. Or there's a service that I've never known about. Looks like it's a little indie film art house one called Fandor. It's $3.99 a month. I used a free trial to it to watch it via YouTube. Super simple.
I watched it on Sling, guys, and it was free. You didn't have to sign up for it, and it's on your Roku TVs and also your PCs.
Easy. Right there. So if you want to watch this and you're interested, I'll give you a little bit of a primer before we do this. So this is, again, our monthly challenge for this year is that we're trying to just experience deeper cuts and more of the filmographies of various directors. This month we picked Denis Villeneuve, just to see where they've come. And August 32nd on Earth is his first long cut, or his first his
directorial debut. Yeah.
It is his directorial debut. Before this is like shorts and stuff. I'm not one that seeks out watching short films necessarily. Most of those, not trying to take away from them, but I want to watch their full lengths. So this week we watched so this month we're going over Denis Villeneuve. I'll give you a little primer, I guess, just in case so I'm doing a little primer, a little intro on it, just because, like, if you want to watch this, we always give a spoiler warning, right? But if this is actually something you would like to experience, I would love for you to pause this, go watch it, and come back. Okay, that's the rule. You can hit the little bookmark icon on YouTube. I think there's something similar on the podcast apps. You can save this, you can go watch that, and then you can come back. It's only 88 minutes. Come on, we can do this.
You will have to read subtitles, so if you're not that type of person, or you're not French. In the mood for it, because we have Daddy right here who probably can't like fully, train in on subtitles. So
yeah, I had to watch it when baby was asleep, and like I had daddy time by myself. So,
I paused and had to rewind a couple times to really catch some of the text. That's okay.
Yeah,
be okay with subtitles, guys. Watch some stuff
I think most people
English.
watch with subtitles now, but it's just like you're not gonna have like it is not English speaking. This is Denis Villeneuve is French Canadian. Yeah. So anyway, but the movie is like, if I were to just a quick intro to the movie, a little primer to see if you'd want to watch it. This movie is about two people, man and a woman. Her name is Simone. His name is Philippe. Pretty much Simone is having like a little midlife crisis kind of thing at the age of 28, where she's a model and she hasn't found love. So she
also just purpose, I think, in her life.
And purpose too. Yeah, I think purpose is a big one. She hasn't found that. So her and Philippe had come to an agreement that if they were, not 30, then they would have a kid together, like, people joke about, I feel like, all the time. And so this movie portrays or just tells the story of her bringing that up to him.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave that there. If that sounds like it's something that interests you, I will say genre, I chalk this up to rom-com. It really is the way, and we're going to discuss that more, but like, and we're gonna break that open, but it's not very comedic.
I don't even think it's very rommy either, to be honest.
It's not, but I felt like the genre that I kept putting this in was like Denis Villeneuve's version of a rom-com. But we're gonna go into that now. Hit the pause button. Go watch it if you want. Come back, okay? And now we are talking about it. Cool. So
I have a lot of notes.
I'm trying to think of how we want to do
look
this.
At all this is all my notes.
I was gonna say I have I have front and back right now. I think.
So let's talk about just the start of the movie, right? Let's just kind of work through.
I'll start off again. This is the note I had for you, meaning like you, and I said the note I had. I said Jared's gonna eat up these salt flats scenes.
Oh yeah.
There were some shots.
Yeah.
And I think more into the point that like there are still very Denny things in this. Like you can see where it's kind of cool to see him where he started and like how he still does some of the things that he even did back then. I want you to start this one out.
Yeah. My first note was in the beginning was big movie for Packer fans. Because I just saw a lot of yellow and green. That was really it. So yeah, these characters are like in their late 20s. I think he's sort of in his early 30s.
He's like early 30s.
But yeah, it basically like starts out with she's like driving and she's either drunk or something on something, and then she gets in a car crash, and then really like she's kind of fine after that. But that's sort of what sparks like. I didn't really.
It's like her life flashed before her eyes, and she realized she didn't have much going on.
Yeah. And so basically, now she's just trying to like find a new path, and so then she like ends up quitting her modeling job. So she's a model, and she's wanting a kid. That's kind of like the movie, right? That's the idea behind it. What are some of these other notes? She also has like short-term memory loss, which I don't know if you were picking up. Like, do you think that sort of was pronounced throughout the entire movie, or was that just like a line in the movie? It kind of pointed it out a couple of times because there was like some weird fragmented editing that would like cut around and like it was kind of glitchy.
I honestly didn't realize that until you just brought it up, because I remember whenever Dr. Vikram goes up and says like, hey, like, yeah, you're gonna have short-term memory loss, and then she said, what do you mean?
And he gives an example.
What?
Yeah.
And then he goes, yeah, my name is Vikram. My
birthday is blah blah blah.
I'm from Bangladesh here, and then she's like, and he's like, what's my name? And then she's like, what did you say? And he's like, perfect. That I did not pay. So I will say, I think you might be right. I think it was subtle enough that I did not.
Yeah. So I don't know if that encompassed the entire movie though, because I'm trying to think is that the point of the way that the calendar in this movie works?
Maybe, because I was thinking. I attributed. So obviously this movie is called August 32nd on Earth, right? So there's no August 32nd.
And historically, there's no 32 days in August.
And there's no 32 days anywhere, right? So the thing is, the way the events take place is that, like, I think it's like 4 days at least, because we start on August 32nd, right?
Yeah, and it ends
and
the
then
36th.
The thing is the driver tells her that it's August 32nd as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever she crashes and he gets in the car, but again, she's like her mind's muddled, right? Like she just got into a crash. She's like going through like some panic, but like, so it's August 32nd, and then you go through the 33rd, 34th, 35th,
and even the 36th,
second, and then the 36th, but then it goes to September 5th.
Yeah, and then September 6th. So it's there's like a quick cut. 6th.
Yeah, like just in that regard.
So for some reason, I had at the end of this movie, I was like, does this like, do the calendar, does it symbolize what was happening throughout 90% of the movie is more of like a representation of what she wanted to happen, and that these are fake days, and then once it cuts to September 5th, it's actually what happened on that like last day in August. I actually didn't think about that. It wasn't like she was in the car wreck, but like
she was in La La Land.
He also was maybe.
Yeah, they both were.
And then like he didn't actually get beat up, but that was a way of her telling a cooler story of what happened to him.
I think he got beat up.
Okay, well,
like, I think that well
maybe
no,
I'm overcooking on this.
Well, no, I think you're right. I think thinking about it now, August 32nd, all the way up to like the 36th, I think that's supposed to symbolize, like they're outside of time. Yeah, like in the sense, like they're in their own world. Yeah, right. Like they're like they went because the whole so to
we can get back to the beginning though. Yeah.
The whole point. Well, no, I mean like the whole point, right? Is like she's wanting to have this kid and like find some purpose. Philippe has been in love with her for years. Like he still does, even though he got over her. You know, one of those kind of situations.
And he's with another woman, Juliet.
And she's with another woman, Juliet. And the whole problem is that like Simone has this habit of coming back into his life and like trying to take him away, or like setting him up, not even take him away, like leading him on. Yeah. So when this happens, this is the closest he's ever gotten to this romantic relationship with her. And the thing that he tells her is that like, I will do this like whole, like we will have like a kid thing, but we have to have it in a desert. Yeah. That he says like we have to go to a desert.
Just a crazy.
So, just like a crazy like we're gonna go to a desert. So what they do is they end up going to the Salt Flats in Salt Lake City, and they adventure. So and from this point on, like once he says this and they start planning it, they're pretty much in a not hijinks, but like on this ridiculous, like that's why I kind of called it a rom-com. I found it funny half the time. Yeah, they're like they just randomly goofy, are like, yeah, we're just gonna like go. They're getting finessed out of cash. Like every decision they're making is bad. It's definitely like every point, even from the beginning when they start bickering about like the desert and stuff, like they like from the get-go is like this is not a good idea. Mm-hmm. Like there's everything, like it starts off with his friend that he lives with and Juliet, like the three of them I think live together. Philip goes in to his room and his friend is sleeping, and then this is where they tell you that this has happened before. This isn't like a one-off thing. Well, not even happened before. Like his friend's explanation is like, do I think it's a good idea that like you were in love with her for like 3 years, she left, and like you were a wreck, and we like had to get you back to like being stable, and do I think it's good that you're just gonna go quote unquote have a baby and like just go off to Salt Lake? He's like, no, it's a bad fucking idea. Of course it is. Which Philip is a doctor too. Like he seems pretty successful and is about to be very successful, and he has like something big coming up too that he just like pushes off to the side, like because Juliet I think references it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah. So Philippe, it seems like he's kind of like a schlubby type of guy. Like he can't really pick a path because the way he was described from Simone, I think, was like he sort of cycled through a lot of jobs. Like he had a job for a couple of years here for blah 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 blah. He kind of bounces around. So maybe that's the connection with him and Simone, is that like she's the one that pulls him out of like success, I guess. Like she's kind of bad for him. Yeah,
and like again, like he is a doctor. He has a successful career. or at least that's what I was picking up. But like, yeah, she like Simone like always like was just a bad influence on him. And then this movie is just like Simone's a bad influence on him, the movie. And you're seeing it because again, there's just like so many. It's like every scene is like Simone is making a bad decision, or like they're making a bad decision, and yeah, like I think he even and ultimately this ends with, Philippe just randomly gets beaten up. I thought this was a little. Maybe this is just because it's like like French Canadian culture. I don't know. It's just like there's a car that like fucking comes out of nowhere. Like,
it was weird.
Hoodlums.
Like once they got back, I thought it started going downhill for me. Like after, I would say, once they got back from the salt flats and then like all that stuff happened, I thought it was a little too rushed and it was just kind of too weird for me. Like it did, just a random car of hoodlums. Like he was gonna go like, I don't know, apologize to Juliet or go talk to Juliet.
Well, he was drunk as hell, right? Because like they had downed like that bottle of tequila and then flown back from Salt Lake City, and he was just, maybe he wasn't drunk as hell, but he was definitely
this was also after, well, he was, I think he was more emotional than anything because he had left a note with Simone and then they went off on their merry way after getting drunk, and like they were in one of those like Japanese pod bed thingies. Yeah,
it's like at the airport. Like it's just like a little Japanese like bed.
And then like it sort of cuts, and then like it ends up just her in the cab by herself at home, and then he like dropped off and paid for it and stuff. And now I think he's like at home waiting for like a call from Simone, either to like confess her love back, or I don't know. It was like that kind of like give and take. Like, I'm so fucking nervous.
I don't think he was gonna get it because she was expecting him to read it. He was expecting her to read it, I think, beforehand. He wasn't sure, I don't think, what was going to happen.
No, he wanted her to read it away. Like, he wanted to, because part of the early, like,
he tells
while he's
her
writing
that.
it, he wanted to, like, once you go here and I go here, like, I don't want to see you ever again, basically. In a nice way. He's a nice boy.
Because he's like, you're bad for me. And I do think that like that whole ending was very weird. The reason why I thought the ending was weird was because they just needed Philip to be in a state so like, Simone could have these feelings. Like he wanted a dramatic ending to the movie. The reason why it's weird, why we're saying like these hoodlums beat him up, because it is seemingly random. Yeah. Not even like seemingly, it's random because like they're in this car, they go like full bore down the street. Like just like hauling ass in like this sedan. They go off the scene. He's just like sitting there Philip is standing on the street, not doing anything. I think he just went to the gas station to get cigarettes or something.
I think he was walking to go see Juliet.
He was going to go. Yeah, he was going to go walk to see Juliet, and then the car whips back around and comes. Like he's in the middle of the street, I think at this point, and then the car almost hits him, and it's late at night. The guys get out of the car, there's three of them, and then they're like, do you want to fight? Which maybe this interaction happens, but it feels very weird that like, which I guess that's also the whole point of the movie too. Like there's just like random life is a weird, there's weird like occurrences, right?
I just didn't think it worked. Beat. I don't know. I just don't think it worked. But yeah, I like you said, I think it was just a reason to put him in like, obviously he's in a coma now basically at the end of the movie.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like it was a reason to put him into a coma because now Simone reads the letter. Yeah, is affected greatly by it, and she then goes. This was the scene that I thought was, and this is where I'm like, I don't know if this was because the subtitles were off. So this is what was weird. Okay, because this is where like it actually gets a little R-wordy. Yeah. So Philippe is in a coma, and Simone comes back in. Now, normally, you probably know what's kind of like gonna happen, right? She's like, I love you. She read the note. She is like moved to like emotion, to love, and she is now like she's viewing, I think, Philippe in a different light because it seems like he's never told her this or revealed his true feelings for her, which that checks. I think he's kind of like a coward in that respect. Like he never wanted to move it. So like this was his time that he like confessed it to her, and now he's in a coma. So she of course like comes to the hospital and is like, I'm not leaving, and it's like, hey, like this is where I think subtitles, I don't know if I'm willing to give up like the subtitles, maybe there's like a mistranslation kind of thing, because normally this would be like, I'm not going to leave your side, I love you, like I can't wait for you to wake up, we will start a life together, right? She ends up going and saying like, I'm gonna like keep your eyes closed. I think it was like specifically like, keep your eyes closed, I'm gonna make love to you.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah,
that's a little weird.
The
That's
only connection, I guess, is like in the letter basically says like he doesn't want to. He ends up throughout the movie is basically trying to not have sex with her, even though he's in love with her.
Yeah.
Because his reasoning is that like he doesn't want just a fling. He wants, obviously he's in love with her.
He wants something deeper.
He wants it to be deeper. So like he basically, I'm pretty sure he says in the letter he doesn't want to. He wants to make love, but he wants her to feel the same way. And so like he can't do it. Like he just like, and so maybe once that's like the connection at the end, like the coma makes her fall in love with him, and it's like, well, now we're in love, just so like we can fuck.
His confession and then his situation are like what compel him. I will say, I think the story is absolutely serviceable. I think it's like fun. I think all the way up until the end. Yeah. I think the story is like, it's fine. Like I think that's why I said like it's almost like rom-com kind of like level of just like, it doesn't convey the same like exaggerated humor, right? Like it's just like situationally, like they're just making bad decisions. It's like it's like not folly. But yeah, so all the way up until the end, I think it works pretty well. And I will say, I think the important part of this is Denis, debut. I think that the movie, like the shots, like the cinematography, which it's not the same like team, like with like an Eggers kind of thing. Like it is different. It's the people that worked on this also did like his earlier films, like what was it we were talking about earlier.
Well, yeah, we can go through that real quick. So his first debut is this one, and then he did Maelstrom in 2000.
Yeah, Maelstrom is the one I'm thinking about,
which is another Canadian. And then I think his first American film is Prisoners in 2013. So he works about 12 years just doing sort of Canadian films up until Incendies, and then he just has banger after banger after that.
Yeah, and so the thing is I think a lot of the cinematography and the sets, I think like they're good. Yeah. I like the settings. I like the scenes he's setting up. Again, the salt flats part was, I thought, like looked beautiful.
Yeah, looked
some
cool.
of these shots, especially in, again, 1998, and they have like these overhead shots. Like there's the shot where they're talking and walking across the salt flats, and then it's like they have to be shooting this from a helicopter, and they're just like, he sits there for like 2 or 3 minutes as they're walking through, and you just see like these two ants pretty much walking across the salt flats. I thought that all looked cool.
Yeah, I thought there was definitely some cool
I think
choices.
It actually carries the movie. It's just like I think it's visually interesting.
Yeah,
a lot of yellow. That's kind of what gets a lot of yellow, a lot of just like brighter color. Like it's just like pops of brighter colors. Yeah. But I think that like overall the story, because Denny also wrote it. Maybe, I mean, this might have been his first it's his directorial debut, right? And I don't think it was bad. I've definitely watched. Everyone says I've definitely watched worse. Like it's like I like struggled through. I didn't struggle watching this. I really liked it. I am glad we're talking about it though, because it does. I think I was like glazing Denny a little bit because I had it at like a 4, and then just like us talking about it more and kind of like seeing the things, I'm like, it's a 3.
I'm actually about to drop mine down to 2.5.
I was almost thinking it too, and I'll say this is because, I think I will too. The reason why is because like if you're gonna compare this to his like the rest of his filmography, don't get me wrong, I get there's probably budget constraints and stuff, but like if this is his directorial debut, like all of his other movies just go so much harder.
Well, you also got to think genre wise, right? This is much different than Prisoners. Sicario, Blade Runner, the Dune franchise. Like, these are much different.
But I think it's a safe movie for a directorial debut, though. Like, I think,
it's not complicated at all. It's pretty simple.
I think he honestly, I think looking at it, I think the main goal is like have a competent or like, just a pretty basic, love story, right? Like, or a story that people can kind of relate to. Yeah. Nothing too crazy, and we're gonna shoot the shit out of it. And I still think, again, it's visually interesting. Yeah. Probably like 60 to 70% of the shots are visually interesting. Like, it's not like it's just,
especially the wide shots. I think the wide shots were.
He loves him some fucking wide shots.
And I do still appreciate that. Yeah, that like he lets shots hold. Like, he still has that in him and stuff like that. I thought, like, to get nitpicky, I thought like some of the tight shots were a little weak and a little messy. And then again, some of the editing was a little straight. I don't know if that was purposeful, and it felt like, I guess, even like the weird calendar that we've talked about, I don't even know if that was necessarily purposeful too at the end of the day. Like, did it really matter? Like, are we supposed to look into it deeper, or is it just like an idea of a 31-year-old director at the time in 1998 just wanting to do something weird and different and to just like maybe to distract you from something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe with the directorial debut, wanted to be a little bit more dense. So I do think, like, you bring up a good point on how, like, those days after August 31st are just, like, something that's outside of the calendar year, right? Like, they don't actually exist. And I feel like
she's imagining it maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I think it actually happened. I just think for them, like, the way they've described it, right, was like they were in their own world. And they definitely get into these times where she's obviously like a bad influence on him. And what ends up happening is like they just call off everything they're doing, right? Like, he called in sick. He lied to Juliet. She quit her job. They just keep doing this stuff. And then the world around them does not matter. So the whole point is that, now we're going to go off and do our own thing for like 4 days, and the world does not matter to us. We're going to do absolutely whatever we do. So I'm like 99%. It's not objective. That's how I view it. And I think that is a very astute, like, I think that's correct. So I think that's what he was going for.
Again, I would say another weak point of the movie for me, and again, I'm always going to compare like love stories to this. I don't even know if it's really a love story. It just seems like a guy that's in love with a girl, and then a girl that is like so hard focused on like, okay, I have this idea that I want to be a mother now. I'm going to pull it off, and I'm going to like use and abuse this like guy that I've been stringing along that I probably don't really know, because that's like, there's two sides to this coin. Obviously, like, we've both have probably been there. We're both 30 now. We're probably a little bit more mature in our thinking. Back then, we're like getting cucked over these girls, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And so like they don't also always know that they're doing it either. So maybe she didn't know. But like, I compare a lot of love stories to, again, one of my favorite romance series is the Before trilogy. And they do, and like, Linklater does something.
Want to watch that?
Yeah, Linklater does these things for some. I don't know how he does it, but in these short movies, that you get the relationship and you're convinced by it the entire time. This movie, I'm not convinced that like they're necessarily like best friends or like they could be potentially lovers or something.
Pretty indifferent. She seems pretty indifferent about.
And I just want more out of it. And that's how I am with a lot of these type of movies. I just want more of the building of the relationship. And like just cut a couple of days or something where like you're hanging out with friends, you get some conversation pieces in there, because like you do learn like later on, like he's been with Juliet for just a couple of months and they've been friends for 5 or 6 years. Yeah, and so they've been friends for a long time, but I guess I just don't see that like you and I have a ton of inside jokes and stuff like that, and like at any time if I go hang out with friends that I've been friends with for like 10-15 years, we can just pick it up no matter what, even though we haven't talked in 5 years or something like that. We have inside jokes and shit that we can pull out so easily. And I just don't get that feeling for movies like this, and this one.
Well, I think that's the point. I think the whole thing is that like Simone has never given him the time of day. Like he's just always been chasing after her. Mm-hmm. So I think the whole point is the fact that like, they've known each other for 5 or 6 years. Guess what? She doesn't really know him and has never really gave him that sort of attention. And it's not until the very end, which I think it doesn't, I don't think it works, but I see where they're going for, where like at the end when he's in a coma, and she's like, oh, like, I love you now. I read this note and now you're in a coma. So now I just like all these things are happening and I've realized that I love you. I'm not convinced that he wouldn't wake up and she wouldn't just pull some
God, how cringe would that if he would just woke up after she said that and then they have sex and then it ends?
Yeah, well, I'm saying, like, I'm honestly too, like, if the relationship were to progress, like, she seems impulsive enough, both of them, that like, at least her, that she would just be like, it's just like one of those like circumstance kind of things. Like after that, she's not like, I'm not convinced that she really cares about Philippe.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was not. And like, it's funny that I wanted to touch on this. I'm sorry I was cutting you off. You brought up the Linklater thing, and I have yet to watch the Before trilogy. You just recently did. But this movie made me want to watch it because I was like, to your point, man, like fucking, it actually to the point that like for the next month, I'm already kind of thinking about like what director. I was like, do we just do Linklater?
Please.
I almost was thinking Kubrick, but like I almost like, do we just like do Linklater?
Let's save Kubrick
February? For
later because
but I'm thinking because like also because the thing is like we also have like it's February, right? It's Valentine's Day. So
true.
I feel like the Before trilogy would be awesome to knock out. And then I mean we'd have to look, we'll do like a deep dive on the next episode of like we'll like do prep work in the next episode of this for February, so we can also let the viewers know what we're gonna do and kind of give them a game plan so you can all experience it with us. And that episode will be coming out
let's do it.
This is coming out the 15th. This will be coming out on the 29th, I think.
This one's the 15th, and then
this one's going to come out on the 15th.
We're going to finish more Denis films for the 29th.
Yeah, and then also we'll talk about, so the episode after this will be like finishing up the Denis films for this month, and then we're going to talk about like the setup for February. And I would, because I've been wanting to watch the Before trilogy. I've wanted to watch it for a while, and it wasn't until you brought it back up that I was like, "Oh fuck,
bro!"
But I would love to go back.
I watched those movies last year. Oof, they're all 5 out of 5s for me. They're so fucking good.
I know I would love them too because you and I are fucking romance boys. Like we love a good romance story.
Love a good romance.
We want to be crying. And the thing is, I will say, I'm not gonna watch Boyhood again because I already watched it literally within the last 6 months, but. Anyway, that's for the next episode.
Yeah.
This one, honestly, I'm
good.
Not,
I think it's a good debut.
It's
right?
good.
Yeah.
I think it's like a perfect starting point for Denis.
And I would rewatch it.
Went up from this point.
Not consistently.
I wouldn't consistently rewatch it. If Jess had some interest in it, I would maybe rewatch it. Or if like I had a friend, if a friend was like, "Oh, I love Denis Villeneuve," and I'd be like, "Oh, do you want to like watch his first? Like we can. I know where we can watch it. Like it's pretty good. You might like it." I would recommend it to somebody. I guess is probably the best, but it's like I think 2.5 stars is a good one. Because I think it's just like the perfect setup. I think in my opinion has only gone up from this point. So
it actually makes me want him to make another movie, not similar to this, but like another genre like this.
I want him to do something like. I don't want him. The joke I have with Denis Villeneuve is that like he's just been like making his. Like just his favorite like sci-fi films lately. Like he like Blade Runner 2049. He's like, oh, I want to follow up to Blade Runner, and it's like it was great, yeah, but like it's not like wholly original. And then he's like now he's just doing Dune, which Dune is great. Like we love Dune on this channel, like just like books and movies, right?
I read the first 3 now.
Yeah, so it's not inherently original from him though, other than the production is, but like the IP, I would like I don't even know, is Arrival, because the thing is I like his love stories. Arrival goes so fucking hard, bro. I can't wait till I'm watching Arrival.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I'm watching. I'm gonna eat that shit.
Let me go through this real quick. So 1998 through 2010, his first 4 films were all written and directed by him. Those were all his Canadian films. And then once his American films started hitting, so first movie in America was Prisoners. Didn't write that one. And then he didn't write Enemy, Sicario, Arrival, or Blade Runner. But he was a principal writer on Dune and Dune Part 2. So I don't know if that's is he a quality writer? We don't know. Well, I do want to watch the other ones that he wrote.
I would kind of like to watch. The thing is though, I'll probably watch Maelstrom. I'm gonna watch Maelstrom, or I'll watch Maelstrom and Incendies, but I'm watching your boy, and I have to watch Prisoners. Fuck, 4 movies. I might have to pick and choose my battles.
How about this? You can pick one of the early ones for you to watch, and then I'll watch another one. Just so we can split up a little bit. Okay, I'll do. I don't know which. I'll do Maelstrom.
Well, I think I like when we talk about the movies, though. So I feel like we should.
I mean, I'll end up watching them both.
You'll probably watch both of them, but like I think.
Like, for sure, I think Incendies is the one that I've seen the most that people think it's like his best one when it comes to these early ones.
I mean, it has an average of 4.4.
Let's do Incendies.
So I'll probably watch it. Yeah, I'll do Incendies, and then because I want to do Prisoners, and I'm doing Arrival for sure. So those are the 3 I want to watch.
Okay. So, yeah. Let's just wrap up our final thoughts on August 32nd.
I don't have any more thoughts. Okay. It's perfectly average for me. I think it's good. Like Denny does Denny things, but I'm actually not convinced that his writing is necessarily. It's not my favorite. The infamous.
Yeah. I guess
Zach.
I don't want to fully judge him though, because like we've talked about before, it's like this is not a fully English speaking film, so I don't know if that's like a language thing.
That's
so I don't want to fully judge him there. But immediately, yes, I would agree that like writing probably his weak point here, but like you can see like the clear direction is pretty damn good here.
We say weak point, me like the other points are really great, and this is just like. Again, this is not a Zack Snyder film. This is not written by Zack Snyder. No. That shit is for a
competent debut.
Like, this is perfectly competent. Like it's a good story.
Yeah.
And the things around it that carry it. In my opinion, it's just the story is the weakest of all of them.
And I thought like as much as I can judge the actors, I thought they were pretty convincing and fine. Like they didn't seem like I liked Philippe.
Yeah, I like the actors too, and that's why like when it comes up to the ending where I was like it's a little R-wordy that she's like I'm just gonna like have sex with you now.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, is that just like a translation hiccup?
Yeah.
But let's I think we're done on this part.
Oh, there is one. I wanted to bring this up because it's stupid, but he does say Philippe in the point like whenever they're looking in the salt flats, they were thinking it was going to be something else, and he says the word dunes, and I just had a giggle at that point because obviously many decades later he would
I thought there would be dunes.
So but big fan of sand.
So that's our recommendation. That's what we thought of August 32nd on Earth. This next section, before we get to it, we have to do one more thing as well. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and leave us a review. I'm not going to go into the full shebang here, but like whenever we break this up, we deserve it. We put time into here. We're allowed. This is brought to you by Some Damn Channel, so just go and do it. The next part of this, though, is going to be just like the wrap up of the month. We're going a little longer than I wanted, but that's what we do. It happens. But yeah, so this is just like the outro of the video, kind of like we're just going to talk about other stuff that we watched in between, just like the one-offs, right? We're going to kind of discuss them. So I have 2 that I'm going to talk about. Okay. One is totally random. One you've already watched. We'll start off with the one you already watched. I watched Carry On. Jess and I did.
Okay, yeah. How did you think about that one?
I think we were both kind of mid on it. Like it was fine. It was just like my whole thing with Carry On was that it was like a I don't want to say like a crappy Die Hard, but like kind of a crappy Die Hard.
Yeah.
Like you could tell they were trying to make this like Die Hard.
Yeah.
Okay, like they were trying really hard. They wanted this to be the TSA equivalent of Die Hard. And it just couldn't have missed harder. Mm-hmm. Like my whole thing is that I like Taron Egerton.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I think he's a good actor. I thought he was good in this film. The way they wrote his character is like he feels like a dunce.
Yeah.
Like everything is like every action scene, which in Die Hard would have been like more elaborate. Like, you're thinking that there's no question that I want to get this up. But there's no part where like John McClane isn't a badass. Right? Like he's like
he's bloodied, he's hurt. He's still kicking
he's running
ass.
around broken glass like with no shoes on. Right? Like he's doing all the really badass things, but he feels like a badass. Taron Egerton at no point, like, which maybe that's the point. Like, he's not a badass, but he's in this situation where he has to be the right guy, and I don't know. I felt like it was perfectly fine. I thought it was like,
it's not visually compelling. And like, again, this is one of those attention to
fun
details,
with an
right?
asterisk,
where
it's like fun with an asterisk, maybe.
It's like in this movie, like Taron looks too clean most of the movie. John McClane is not clean in Die Hard. He's and that's the issue with these type of like Netflixy like streamers, right? They're trying to make sure the star looks good the entire movie, and it
Are they though? Is that? I guess maybe
yeah. I mean, all these movies like they look gross, but they look. It's because they look robotic and clean, and they don't have mess of like what film looks like.
I mean, in general, like Netflix streamers, like these Netflix movies look sterile.
Yeah,
we talked about it last episode. They're very sterile, and it's. I don't think they're trying to make Taron Egerton like who was the bad guy? It was
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Jason Bateman. I don't think they want him to look like ugly, but I'm just like. The action sequences were
so weak.
Like there was nothing like I'm like these things are happening and I can suspend my disbelief for most of these scenarios, right? Like a random girl bringing up an earbud to him like I don't know. It honestly felt like it was like here's what I'll say. I'll say that like some executive at Netflix was like, we want Die Hard. Let's make up a Die Hard movie, especially for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
You know, Die Hard's a Christmas film, ha ha ha. Let's make our own. So they can be like, Carry On's a Christmas film, ha ha ha. You know, some shit like that. Some poor soul, and when I say poor soul, I mean, what's the director's name? Let me
don't say poor soul. Now. You gotta look at his filmography.
He's probably well. Okay, I was gonna say I haven't looked.
Black Adam. Orphan, which is fine. I actually didn't mind Orphan. Yeah,
Black Adam's one of the
House of Wax
I've watched. Yo, it's kind of a cult classic right there.
I do want to. I'm actually gonna.
Black Adam is.
I'm gonna rewatch some of these. Jungle Cruise. So he's a big rock fan, which makes me hate him. The Commuter, which are these like, Liam Neeson. I watched The Commuter last year. I remember now. Again, another like this guy is just full of average action films. That's all he is. This is an average action film. Not even
average.
With some little like incorporating some Christmas songs in there. And like it's during the holidays. That's really what makes it a Christmas movie.
That's my whole thing. Is like this was like the whole thing was like they just wanted their own Die Hard. And some exec said this. They found a director that kind of does stuff like that. They said they would give him, a budget with, probably like 7 figures in it. And
here's Jason Bateman.
Pay him like 6 figures or 7 figures. And here's Jason Bateman and Taron Egerton.
Also, Jason Bateman can't show up to set all that often, so he's gonna have to just do a bunch of voiceover most of the movie.
Yeah, we're just gonna record him like in like 2 days, and like sometimes he'll come into set. He's probably doing not this, like he's doing like Ozark. He's doing our reboot for Ozark, so like
Ozark Origins.
Yeah, Ozark. It's not even gonna be Ozark Origins. It's gonna be Ozark the Family, right? Because like the way it ends. So like he can't come to set today. It just feels like a sterile Netflix movie. Like the thing is though, is like there are some that like pop off. I watched Rebel Ridge, which I like Jeremy Saulnier. So like, I'm not gonna say like every Netflix action film is like like this. Like I thought Rebel Ridge was quite fun. If you like Jeremy Saulnier, he's another name I'll probably put in this year for a director we should watch just because I want to watch Blue Ruin again. It's great. It's one of my favorite by him. So like it can be done, but this didn't do it. And the next one I watched was Guns Akimbo. We're just gonna go to the next one. Guns Akimbo. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
You are familiar with it. So
I haven't
Guns
watched
Akimbo
it.
It's what I call a comic book. I mean, I think I'm like, I call it that. I haven't even rated it yet. I forgot, but stars Daniel Radcliffe, so that was why I originally picked it. But it is a comic book action film. So comic book action is like it's definitely in the the realm of something like what Zack Snyder might do. This is directed by Jason Leigh Howden. I'm not familiar with him. It looks like he makes all these sort of like anarcho-punk, like just dirty ass looking, like high action, you know, like what is it? Is it Chippy? The one that was made by the dude that did
Chappie?
Like where they had D. Antwoord in it. Where it's like, again, it's another one where like
that's Neil
the
Blomkamp.
Tattoo parlors. Yeah, Neil Blomkamp, because he's the one who did the District 9 or whatever. It's in that same realm of that and Hardcore Harry shit, where it's just like, but the whole thing is like Daniel Radcliffe, one, has an American accent, which is like I've never heard him with an American accent, so it was kind of worth it just for that.
Also, what a career post Harry Potter.
So this is kind of what I wanted to say about that, right? Like he made his bag on Harry Potter, and he, ever since Swiss Army Man, he has just been doing whatever the fuck he wants. He has been like, he will do, he's just doing side quests. Like he doesn't have to do any movie that he doesn't want to do. Maybe he does. Maybe he I'm choosing to believe he wanted to do something. I hate to say stupid, but like just mindless, like easy with Guns Akimbo, because he was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like I've never done this before. Because the whole premise of Guns Akimbo is that like Daniel Radcliffe's character is he's a software developer for a shitty gacha game for an app. Not even app, it's like fucking like he's developing like fucking Clash Royale or something, right? Like something where you just like spend money, like those slot machine games. He's doing that, and then the release he gets, or he likes, in this world there's like a bunch of anarcho-punk fucking looking, you know, tattooed up assholes that are like running this live stream called Schism, where they take like dejected people that are, or just people that are like, you know, like the outsiders of society that are like criminals and all this shit, and they put them into a scenario where they, like a death match where they have to kill each other, and they stream it, and it actively like it's in real time, right? They just stream it with a bunch of drones, and it's taken over the world. Everyone loves Schism and watching it. So Daniel Radcliffe's character goes on to Schism. What's his name? Miles. Miles will go on to Schism and he'll just troll people. He'll go. He's literally the guy in Twitch chat that's like calling everyone the F word. He's in there just typing and telling people that they're fucking stupid. He tells one person to put their dick in a blender and then to turn it on, something like that. You know, he's that guy. So what ends up happening is he says the wrong thing. They somehow get his IP address, and that's what tells them their location, which like, there's more to it. Like, I don't know. Like, you get an IP address, cool. But, like, I guess they also control the network. Right. They control the network. They don't dox them, but they, like, they kick the door in. They shoot him with a tranquilizer gun. They take two pistols, and then they screw him into his hands. He cannot, like, he has to hold these guns the entire time. And he's just like walking around town, like people are like seeing him with him, and he's like, "Oh no, they're screwed to my hands!" Like the cops are coming after him, yada yada. And now he's on Schism, and he has to kill a girl named Vixen. That's the movie. You could probably imagine what happens during it. I mean, there's some details I haven't told you, but like that's the movie. The movie you're here to watch is just like this garish lighting, like gratuitous like violence. You know, it's fine. Like I think I'm rating it right now. I think I liked it, but I'm giving it 1.5 stars. It's not something I would go out. They also gets 1.5 stars because I watched this. You can watch it on Amazon, but it requires ads. Ugh. So like they don't even play them all at the beginning like a normal fucking streaming service. They put them like every like 20 minutes in the film, and I was like, fuck.
I had to do that with Sling. Dude. I had to do that whenever I was watching August 32nd.
So stupid. Yeah. Just play them all in the beginning, dog. I'm here in the beginning.
Yeah, I think Paramount does that.
They'll do them for certain films, but it's just like, show me 15 minutes of ads in the beginning.
Yeah, I'll watch the big chunk, yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch the big chunk.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. But they also know that too. They're trying to get you in front of the computer,
Obviously.
or the screen. So it's very frustrating. That's all I have for stuff I watched this week, though.
Yeah, I watched a couple stuff. I'll just kind of rush through them because it's not that important. Like I watched Friday Night Lights for funsies. 2004. It's just like a sports movie about a small town in Texas. If you've ever watched like a Peter Berg film, they all kind of like look the same. He's the one that did Hancock.
Oh wait, I've
Collateral.
watched Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, I would
dude.
hope so.
Like,
So yeah, it has that like documentary style like cinematography, which I think works in this movie particularly. And it looks really cool and good, and performances are pretty good. Yeah, it's a good sports movie. I'm a big sports movie guy. I think they're fun and lame and emotional, but they work for me. So whatever.
They get a little corny, but they're still a good watch.
Yeah. So I just watched that, and then two movies that I would honestly give the same exact review for the same exact reasons, but they're so polar opposite. Is Longlegs, and a movie that I just watched for the first time is The Power of the Dog. I don't know if you ever watched that.
I've never heard
one.
of The Power of the Dog. No.
Yeah, this one came out in 2021. It was like kind of a big movie. At that time, I think it was a Netflix original too, and I'm pretty sure it got nominated for a couple things. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst with her hubby Jesse Plemons. Jesse Plemons and Benedict Cumberbatch play brothers, and they're like ranchers and blah blah blah. And there's like some deep, dark, like seated stuff, but like you don't really get to experience that too much throughout this movie because it's just such a slow nothingness of a movie. But similar to what we were talking about with like 2001, but they just didn't do it as good in this, as well as Longlegs. I think they're both just aesthetically pleasing, great cinematography, some good ideas, but I just think the writing really falls flat, and they're just overall too boring for me to like love them. Like Power of the Dog I didn't like at all. It was just like a nothing burger, and I thought some of the performances were a little awkward, especially from the kid. Benedict Cumberbatch, again, I don't think I'm super convinced with his American accent, and I just don't think I don't think he worked in this role as this like, he's technically like a charismatic, he's supposed to be charismatic, but not really, and he's supposed to be this smart guy that basically has to become a rancher for the rest of that's just the nature of this time, is that you can't just always like live out your dreams. And I guess he's like a little jealous of the kid that he's going to like medical school and sort of living out his dreams, yada yada yada, while he's suffering becoming a fucking rancher throughout his life. And then just some other like weird shit that just happens through that movie. But again, visually spectacular. It looks really good. I would definitely give it a shot. I would like you to watch it and see what you think about it. It's directed by Jane Campion, who's a sort of a big name within the directing world. Has some.
What did you watch it on?
It's on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's a Netflix original.
Okay.
And then Longlegs, I rewatched. It was a movie that obviously came out last year, directed by Osgood Perkins, which is the son of what's his nuts from Psycho, Norman Bates. Yeah.
Okay.
He is sort of giving me the same. I guess I haven't seen his other stuff. I guess Longlegs is the only one I've seen, but he did the Blackcoat's Daughter.
I've heard of that one.
And then he did Gretel and Hansel.
Oh, that one looked like it was not.
And then
good.
he has a new one coming out next year already called The Monkey, which I guess if you went to the movies recently, you probably have seen a trailer for that.
I have.
Yeah, it has Theo James, Elijah Wood, some other folks in it. So yeah, you can tell like he's stylistically he has it. Like he has the eye for it. It's sort of like I think he has better dialogue than Mike Flanagan, but they have like I would say a similar good eye for horror. Like you can say like the ideas are there, but I just don't think it comes together at the end for me, and it's too much of a slow burn with not much happening, and some of the dialogue is just tragic. It's just not very good. But again, aesthetically, great. Longlegs, the marketing campaign, amazing. Going up, like I remember last year, whenever like I was fully hooked on the marketing for it, I was really into it, and then once I saw it, I was like, just I don't think I want to really see that again. And then I watched it recently, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably done with this movie forever.
Is this Blackcoat's Daughter?
No, this is Longlegs. This is his new movies from last year.
Okay, I thought you were.
which I guess you didn't see it, did you?
I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch it because it got a lot of hype, but I
definitely think you
personally-
should. Yeah, give it a lot. Give it a look. See, you can rent it on Amazon or buy it, whatever you want to do. I originally gave it a 3 last year, but I actually dropped it down because as a home experience, it dropped it down for me. I think as a theater experience, I would stick with the 3, but yeah.
Okay.
Just not super in on it, but I'm still like wondering where he's gonna go after this. I think
We'll see if the monkey's gonna be.
Yeah, I think his eye's there. Yeah, I don't know what else I'm gonna be watching coming up soon, other than some of these Denis movies, but there's a ton of stuff that I want to watch.
I was gonna say let's take this one out for this episode. So like so for any of you tracking, we've kind of already talked about it, but the next few movies we're gonna watch to finish up January, the month of Denny, is gonna be Incendies for sure. I know I'm gonna go with
Arrival.
Go with that one, and then it's gonna be for me Prisoners, then Arrival,
and then
so those are
Maelstrom. Those potentially.
Yeah, I think you'll end up watching it. I don't think I'm going to watch Maelstrom. We'll see what happens. If I can find it, I might have some time to watch.
And I'm watching Doom 1 and 2. I've been begging to watch those for a year.
And then he's going to watch Doom 1 and 2. But we're going to finish up January. So there'll be, we're going to finish up Denny. And then next episode, we're going to talk about those. And then we're going to probably set up for February, which, bro, I'm here for a Linklater month.
Yeah, let's do it.
Give me a reason to watch School of Rock, bro. I'll do it. So yeah, but anyway, if you're still here, thank you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We do this because we love it and we hope that you've enjoyed it. We're also, these are our opinions. I try to, especially when I do Spicy Book Club, if you've watched those, I try to say these are my opinions. We're not trying to yuck yums. If you absolutely loved some of these movies and we didn't agree with it, let's have a conversation about it. Just let me know. Let us know down below. Let us know wherever. We're not trying to but I love that you love that. We love that you love whatever you love. And so, yeah, again, hit the like, comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff. And let us know down below if you've watched August 32nd on Earth. Let us know if you enjoyed Guns Akimbo or Long Legs.
Give us some ideas for directors that we should focus on in the future.
Yeah, actually, we do. We are going to need that because, I would like to. I'm fine with Linklater, and obviously, I want to
give us some non-big names.
I want to. Yeah, I would
don't say Scorsese or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say because obviously we're gonna those are the easy ones to go to. Which also there's probably plenty that we haven't watched their beginning their earlier movies, their debuts. But yeah, they will give us what director have we slept on? What should we be thinking about? Right?
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do. So let us know down below. But other than that, I think I'm good. Yeah. So
watch movies, guys.
Ian, and also Jared. Yeah, I'm fucking it up now. Have a good one. We appreciate you. Love you. Bye.
When will I cut it? At an awkward point, which I love to do.
I don't know. When will you cut it?
Right.
Right when? That's pretty.